What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols Pregame'n Edition. This is where we spend a few minutes talking to the team prior to the next match. Joining me this week is a player who not only is making his second appearance on this show, he's recently been putting on his own show between the pipes, making some massive saves to keep the Hounds in the past few games. It is Jacob Randolph. Jacob, how's it going, man?
It's going well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We were talking a little bit about the storms. It seems we're both kind of through the worst of it. Hopefully, there are some storms rolling through now. Hopefully, we don't get too much interruption here during the conversation, but can't complain. So, thank you. I'm a huge fan of yours. I have been since last season. We talked last year. I want nothing but the best for you. So, this question is not meant to be a dig at you. I'm just genuinely curious for you as a person. The team historically just hasn't kept many keepers from year to year, let alone two. And so I'm just curious, were you surprised to be brought back this season with the team after, Eric won the Golden Glove last year and now you're both back?
Yeah, I think a little bit surprised, just obviously not knowing what the front office's mind was. Obviously, didn't get to play in that many games last year and really get to showcase my abilities. So I was a little taken by it, but I obviously know that I'm a young player, and I know Bob has trusted and relied on young players in the past, and fortunately, he had my trust for the following year now. And yeah, he just kind of told me, you still like what you bring to the table, and you get a lot of ceiling on you in terms of potential, and we still want to hold on to you. So, yeah, I was very excited when he told me those words, and happy to return back here to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks just how highly the team thinks of you as a player, for sure. I'm curious. So, Eric has said that the Golden Glove is a team trophy, not just his. And we've talked to a bunch of the guys. We talked to Kenny, and he talks about how really sort of the success defending and keeping goals out starts all the way up at the front. And I think that's somewhat reflected in the style of play, right? If you look at I was digging a little bit. Nico Campazano has faced 32 shots and made 26 saves for Monterey Bay compared to only 19 shots and 12 saves that Eric has had to make in the league this year. As a keeper, are you someone that would prefer to see more shots to like stay warm during the game, or do you like not seeing so many shots? Just how do you approach that?
No, I think for comparison, obviously Nico, like you said, he might have had to make more saves as compared to us. I think me personally, I think obviously you want to be involved in the game as a goalkeeper just to stay sharp and stay in touch with the ball and the flow and the rhythm. Yeah, I'm really open. I'm just there to do what's asked of me in the game, whether it's making two saves a game or whether it's making seven. Obviously we'd like to keep it limited to under five shots on target. I think is an ideal target to aim for. But yeah, I mean, when called upon, you need to be ready to make the saves, and if not, you just need to be able to be there and just be the metronome to keep the team ticking over, make sure everybody in the back line is doing their jobs, and yeah, just be a good foundation for the team at the back. So I don't have a preference.
Yeah, yeah.
Or not, so.
Sounds like five might be your sweet spot though. So
Yeah.
that's good to know. What is the relationship like between you, Eric, and Ben? It feels like there's a spectrum because it's only one person can play that spot between sort of competitive and supportive. And you guys all seem really supportive. I'm just curious, where do you fall on that spectrum?
Yeah, I think for sure we're all competitive guys deep down. I mean, I think even just today we were doing a little a game just in terms of finishing at the end to wrap up with our goalkeeper coach John Bush, and we were all trying to keep as many shots out as possible. And obviously the winner was prideful that they were able to keep the most goals out. But I think we're all very supportive, and we all understand the position. I think we're all mature enough to know that there are three of us. However, only one can play on match days. So I think very competitive during the week, but also very supportive. I'd say we all lean on each other, and I think that's what a great goalkeeper room does: is supports each other, helps each other with certain questions we have during a play or things we could have done better. But we're also encouraging and pushing each other to really reach our potential. So if there's a save or something that we could have made, we'll be the first ones to look at each other and be like, should I have done better, or could I have done something different? So I think it is a good, healthy combination of competition and support.
That's awesome.
Very well.
That's awesome. In the Jägermeister Cup, like the most recent game you played in against Detroit, there's a much better chance that matches can go to a shootout than in other games. Does that at all impact how you prepare for these matches?
I think just knowing that the game ultimately needs to have a winner. I think that goes into our head. So just trying to play more on the front foot, trying to be as aggressive as possible. Obviously, I don't think that really changes our job in terms of keeping balls out of the net. In terms of preparation, I will say maybe look at a little bit of a lengthier list of previous penalty kicks. Just because I think in a game, I mean, most of our preparation remains the same. To be completely honest, John Bush does a great job making sure we're prepped and covered on all bases for any scenario we see on match day. So on a normal league game, we go through some penalties as well of common players of the opposition that take penalties, and we did the same for Detroit this past weekend. So not too much different in terms of preparation.
What are your thoughts on just like the shootout as a mechanism for deciding a game? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you get excited about it? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I think it's from the neutral point of view, I always think penalty shootouts. Even myself, if I'm watching a game, I always enjoy seeing penalties. It's adrenaline, nerves. Who's going to blink first in a sense. But yeah, for me as a keeper, I kind of go in knowing it's in the shooter's favor, but obviously just trying to pick up anything I can on the run up or anything leading up to the strike to try and keep it out. So I kind of look at it as a pressures on the striker in a sense. So low pressure on me and just trying to I take it as an opportunity to step up and be a hero in a sense because if it goes down to penalty shootouts at the end, your goalkeeper can be pivotal in playing the role of deciding the result. So I look at it as a great opportunity during the games. But yeah, great adrenaline rush and always never back down from one. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really curious if there are any sort of like tells that you sort of look for, but I don't want you to answer here. We'll talk about that off air. I don't want you giving away any trade secrets or
Gotcha,
anything.
gotcha.
Um, you guys are going to be on the new turf this week. Have you been on the new turf yet?
I have not. I have not stepped foot on the new turf. I've seen it from afar, but looking forward to get on it tomorrow. We're going to be training at the stadium, so I guess it'll be the first time we get to step foot on it. So yeah, hoping it's a good surface. I know the old Highmark surface was little beat up, little aged with time, but hopefully this one that they got down is good and holding up. So excited for it.
How much does the surface at all impact your decision to kind of throw your body around in a game? Because obviously you guys are on the ground probably more than anybody else, but grass versus it sounds like Loudon was a really rough playing surface, and now you got this new. Does that go through your mind at all, or are you just like autopilot when you're out there and you do what you got to do?
Yeah, I think for example, I think many guys across the league can attest that Detroit isn't necessarily the best playing surface or the safest per se, but and even stepping out there pre-match doing the walk of the pitch, I was thinking it's a bit dry, it's a bit sticky, not the most raised, not the most padding and stuff, but I think maybe that first one in warm-ups, first time you hit the ground, it might sting a little bit, it might be a little rough, but I think for sure it's just a mind over matter thing. Once you're in the moment in the game, the adrenaline going. Even the Detroit game when I had to make a save low to my left, I wasn't thinking about that at all. Just had to keep the ball at the net. So playing surfaces vary week to week. Some better than others, especially I think as most goalkeepers would say they'd love to play on grass every time, but that's just not necessarily possible here in the states with the varying climate all over the country. So yeah, I think maybe the first one in warmups might take a little bit out of you, but once you're in the game, you're not really thinking about it. So just got to deal with what the cards are dealt.
I mean, you guys do get a little bit beat up. What's your recovery typically like? Do you have a recovery program, or do you just kind of like take it with each game?
I'd say honestly, mostly, despite some of the surfaces being a little more abrasive than others, I'd say the biggest thing for a goalkeeper the day after a game is mentally. I'd say you're pretty drained. I think people underestimate how much it actually takes of you being locked in for 90 minutes and focus on every little touch of the ball in the game. Just because there's so many things you need to adjust, your starting position, where you need to be, whether or not you need to be set, just certain little things. So I really don't do too much. Maybe just go for a little walk. I like to get outside the day after a game, try and get some sunlight. Obviously, I've been standing, but maybe not doing too much movement and other things. And hopefully, I don't catch any bad bruises or bad scuffs from the turf or surface we were on. But yeah, I'd say just hydration, a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of movement. In the past, maybe my legs a little sore from kicking, depending if we're going longer during the match. But I'd say most of the time this year so far, I've been okay. So a little hydration, a little walk, maybe a little foam roll, and yeah, on to the next one. So I'm fortunate for that. Last.
Good, good. Long may that continue. You mentioned sort of the mental toll it can take, and I'm curious. In addition to you having to be locked into the game, keepers can often get a lot of abuse from the fans, especially since you're often standing in front of the opposing team's fans for half the game. I'm just curious, is there anything that an opposing fan has said, either good, bad, funny, or whatever, that like sticks out in your mind?
Um, I mean, last weekend in Detroit, they were chirping pretty good behind the goal, but nothing really stood out. I think someone maybe mentioned at the end, nice calves. I've got other ones, but, I think one other time, I think on my debut actually last year in Hartford, I thought it was funny. It made me chuckle for a second in the game that someone had yelled behind the goal. They were like, "Hey, Randolph, you're too big to play soccer. You look like you should be Blake Griffin on a court." And that made me chuckle a little bit. So yeah, that's one that stuck with me. Someone called me Blake Griffin. So
That's awesome. Take it as a compliment for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's great. Um, let's talk about the team for a second. Things obviously aren't going as well as everyone would have hoped to start the season, but you guys have a big home game against North Carolina, followed by a massive Open Cup game against NYCFC. How's everybody feeling heading into the next few games?
I think everybody's feeling good. Trying to rebound on the right note. I think everybody's super excited to finally be back home as we've been on the road for a long stretch now. So happy to see the home fans and test out the new surface as it just got installed. But yeah, I'd say everybody's really prepped and getting their mind right for this upcoming 3 game week, and just excited to build off of, despite the result in Detroit. I really think it was a strong performance from us for about 75 minutes. Say the last 15 minutes, we kind of came into a little shell, maybe on the back foot, but a really, really strong first half from us in Detroit, especially. And I'm really hoping, and we've been talking a lot about how we can build on that first half performance and complete that for a 90. So, yeah, I think team morale at the moment is very high, and we're very excited, getting ready for some very important matches coming up.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Jacob, I always appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck this weekend with North Carolina. And here's hoping for a clean sheet and another 3 points.
Thank you. Thank you.